It's me, Mordenkainen. I'm riding a horse in outer space and holding a basketball. Aren't I cool?
Hello and welcome. Good morning. It's 7:30. It's the 11th day of 2022, 1/11, when all is one. It's about 50 degrees here in Ventura County. It is clear and it looks like it's going to be sunny, but we have a wind warning again. We have our first look at the Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. We know that there was 33 playable races and 280 monsters that are going to be in it. At this point, I'm not sure what the difference between a monster and a playable race is in D&D, since I guess technically under the new weird rulings, you could play any race if the DM allows it, which means my dream of having a Gelatinues Cube swashbuckler is even that much closer. Maybe we should do a parody D&D game where the only races you can play are slimes. That could be fun. Anyway, so here's a list. And here's some responses to the list. And you tell me what races you noticed aren't on the list. Okay, here we have the Aracraka. I never know how to pronounce this one. The bird race. Apparently their flying speed got nerfed to 30, which is the same as a walking speed of everybody else, 30. I mean, I know that in the past some of the races had less walking speed, but they changed that, so all the races have the same walking speed, and I guess the player character races that can fly now have 30 feet fly speed. So, yeah, why bother? You know, I got wings, but if I'm not any faster than anybody else, what's the point? Now it just acts like a cape. And as we know, no capes. We have the Aasimar, we have the Bugbear, we have the Centaur. Yes, because a Centaur is a race you want to see in a dungeon. Stairs. We have the Changeling, we have the Deep Gnome, we have the Duergar, which I think are dark dwarves, right? We have the Eldarin, which are a type of elf. We have fairies, who are not fairies if you read Witchlight. They're gnomes with wings. We have the Fearbog. We have all four of the Genasi, air, earth, fire, and water. Missing, of course, is the chocolate chip cookie Genasi. We have the Githyanki and the Githsari. There we go. Two astral races that absolutely hate each other, but I guess they've changed that. Also, is this the first time we've seen the Githyanki and the Githsari in 5e? I guess more hints of Planescape. Goblin, Goliath, the Haragon. That's the rabbit race from Witchlight, if you don't know who the Haragon is. We have the Hobgoblin, we have the Kenku, who are another bird-like race. We have the Kobold, we have Lizard Folk, we have Minotaur, we have Orc, we have the Satar, Satar. We have the Sea Elves, we have the Sharder Kai. Sharder, I don't know what that is. Is that a race from one of the Magic books? We have the Shifter, we have the Tabaxi. Somebody was worried the Tabaxi wasn't going to be in it. The Tabaxi are in it, but they're probably not the Tabaxi you know and love. We have the Turtle. I thought it was pronounced Tortle. Turtle. Isn't the race Tortle? Tortle? This is either a misprint in the book or a misprint by the person who copied this, because, yeah, player character race Turtle. Are they teenagers and mutants? Because otherwise I believe you're referring to the Tortle, who are the humanoid turtles. We have the Triton. Yes, because, Sea Elf and Triton. Two races that cannot go on the surface. Those are both, again, great races you should be playing in D&D. Unless, of course, you're running an ocean-based campaign. And the Yuan-Ti. But, of course, these are the humanoid Yuan-Tis, not the fully, Thulsa Doomed out snake. Now, anybody else notice what's missing? The core races! Yes, the core races are missing from this list, including the Drow. So after all that hubbub about changing the Drow, they're not here. Nor are humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, half-orcs, half-elves, halflings, all missing. Which I guess that means they're not player character races anymore, or just Wizards of the Coast is assuming the core races don't deserve the rewrite, or are they saying, well, we've already done the core races, so we don't need to do them again? I don't know what this means. I mean, the first should be the core races. Here are the core races in the player's handbook. Now here they are under the new rules, including the Drow, with the new rules of the Drow, because apparently sunlight sensitivity is gone as well. Remember when we went through the various monster books earlier this year and talked about some of the player character races, I was questioning whether sunlight sensitivity was still a thing or not. According to this, sunlight sensitivity gone. So there we go, the player character races, all 30 of them. Is that in fact 30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it seems to be 30. Strange choices. I feel like there's something missing. I don't know the races well enough, but yeah, other than the core races, I feel like there's other things missing. I have to go back and look, but yeah. Okay, now let's read some of the responses. The first one, now, since this is on a 5e site, I'm going to assume these are mostly 5e responses, or at least people who have some interest in what's going on. So we already mentioned the fly speed and the movement speeds are now the same. Also, there's no more subs races, and light sensitivity has been removed. So in the past, we knew that there was like sub races to, well, I mean, technically these are all sub races. So really, were there sub races of the bugbear? Were there sub races of the centaur? I mean, what would the sub race of a centaur be? Horse front, human back? That would just be weird. Yeah, I don't know why sub race is a complaint. Many of these are sub races. Of course, yes, orc, half orc is missing. So I guess that could be, yeah, that one I'm not really going to care about. I mean, many of these are just sub races of races that were already out. Light sensitivity removed. Second response, I guess a house rule when I DM is to re-add the stuff like sun sensitivity and whatnot for PC races. Again, this appears to be from a 5e player. Another response, this one is really spelled R-E-A-L-L-L-L-Y, interested in how this changes will be implemented in Beyond. I guess he or she is referring to D&D Beyond. Although it would be awkward, I would prefer the old books to not change, and then you could use the new ones if you wish. Yes, I think that's what we all want. Another one, likely a toggle, 2 separate entities or completely overwritten. Responding, I guess, to the leave the old books alone and just have the new ones and be the backwards compatible. Is that what they're calling it now? A toggle? CR refers to it as a toggle, so you could toggle them on and off, toggle on the previous edition stuff or toggle off the previous edition stuff. Weird wording, but I understand what they're going for. Response to the response. It should be responsible for them to group this all under one toggle, like they do for Critical Role. So you can either include the new content or not. That being said, I have a sneaking suspicion that Wizards of the Coast is going to tell D&D Beyond that the contents in this book replaces the content from the previous books. Oh, okay. So they're referring to D&D Beyond when they're referring to toggle. So not being familiar with D&D Beyond, I'm assuming that what this is there's an option in D&D Beyond now where you can click on the additions from splat books like the Critical Role books, or click off and just have the elf or whatever appear as it appears. So yeah, and now this person is saying that they're probably going to get rid of that because the stuff in Mordenkainen replaces anything that predated Mordenkainen, which of course would go against their whole everything's going to be backwards compatible. Let's see. Here's one's going, so is there anywhere I can read about the changes instead of watching a God's cursed video? I don't think my videos are cursed by God, or unless you're referring to the other video that have been made about this already. Okay, another one. So the first thing I asked myself, what build possibilities exist that didn't exist before with these races? First thoughts, a whip-wielding Githyanki rogue. They get proficiency with a weapon of choice, which means the rogue could learn the finesse weapon whip without needing to multi-class into fighter. They leverage made hands and a bonus, so perhaps not arcane trickster, straight, theory crafting. Would it be more okay with this if it didn't come with 2 books I already own and I'm not paying for again? Yes, individual who posted this later on this month. Mordenkainen's will be out separate with a completely different color. I don't know about the artwork, but yes. So if you want to wait a couple days, your book will be out. Want to know when it will be getting a separate physical release and if it will have an alt cover when it does. So apparently these individuals cannot be bothered to pay attention to the fact that when Wizards of the Coast said, hey, Mordenkainen's was supposed to be out in December, but due to the world, we had to push it back to January. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this special super slipcase with the 3 books and a DM screen and a couple other things. But then a few days later, you're going to be able to get Mordenkainen on its own. So, yeah, you don't have to buy the whole 3 books unless you want the new super slipcase, DM screen, and the new art and whatever else. Mordenkainen's will be out as a separate book next week or the week after. There's a person saying the only reason they're marketing it now is because they want to manipulate people into buying an overpriced gift set because we don't know when it will be available on its own. This whole thing is very bad form, in my opinion. No, you do know when it's on its own. They literally told you when they announced it. Again, it's going to be out in December. No, it's not coming out in December because we had to push it back because of the world. We're going to have the super special Christmas gift book out in the second week of January. Well, actually, I guess it's the second week of January, technically. And then we'll have the real book on its own out, I think, on the 22nd or 21st. The rest of these are complaining about that, yeah. So we have a couple complaints about the races, but most of the complaints, strangely enough, don't seem to be about the races or the builds or the changes. Strangely, it does seem to be that the major complaint about Mordenkainen's multiversal mustard of mayhem is that it's not a separate book and that I have to pay $200 to get a book I already own. I don't even know where to go with that one. Because, I mean, I hate to defend Wizards of the Coast, but they literally said we're doing it. And then we're doing a separate book. Okay, so, yeah, moving on. Every race now has the same movement speed. So flying races are sort of hindered now instead of an advantage. Remember, and plus every race can take whatever bonuses you want. So if you want to have a halfling with a +2 strength, you can. Races can now be as tall or short as you want. So if you want to have a 7'2" halfling with a +2 strength, you can. Alignment gone. Height, weight gone. Racial lore gone. Replaced with a few lines of basically cut and paste. Races seem to now just be stat blocks, and for really the only advantage to playing a race will be its secondary abilities, like climbing on walls. And since flight has now apparently been nerfed, why should I play a character with wings in situations where my wings are mostly a disadvantage? At this point, it's just a cape, and as we know from The Incredibles, no cape. The only reason to play a flying character is the advantages that the wings would give me. But if you've nerfed that to I'm at the same speed as everybody else, am I flying at 30 feet and everybody else is walking at 30 feet? I'm actually now in their way because my wings take up space that somebody else could use. And, they're just going to get tangled up and stuff. So why? And, of course, also noticeably missing is the other race that was that started this all. Because if we trace back the timetable to the 2 races that started this whole thing, Drow and Orc. Drow gone. Orc here. Also missing Mind Flayers and Beholders. But I suppose those will be in the Monster section. Remember, this is the player character race section. Again, but then that's sort of pointless because technically under the new rules, any race can be a player character. So I suppose if it's that kind of game, you could have a player character Beholder. Because remember, Beholders aren't evil anymore. And Drow are missing, which means are Drow now a monster again? Where are Drow in this? Because a lot of people probably want to see the new lore and the new stat blocks. I guess they'll be in a different book. Also, you spelled turtle wrong. It's Turtle when the race's name is Tortle, Tortle. So if this is a direct cut and paste from the book, yeah, you've spelled your race wrong. And why would I want to play a character Triton or play a character Sea Elf? I literally can't go on the land for long periods of time unless, of course, you got rid of that. And then if you did get rid of that, I'm just an elf with a swim speed. And my swim speed's going to be the same as my ground speed. So I'm a blue-skinned elf who can swim at 30 feet when everybody else can swim at 30 feet. Why? And I can see in the dark, but why bother? All right, I'm putting out here now. Before long, we're going to see something where Wizards of the Coast now says you can mix and match racial abilities. So if you want to play a 7-foot-tall halfling with a +2 strength who can also have a flying speed of 30, we're going to let you do that because we don't want anybody to feel like they can't play whatever it is they can dream of, which at some point D&D is going to just become GURPS, which I think I've already said. Yeah, so there you go. What do you think of this? Are you a 5e player who's excited about this? Or are you, like most of it, sounds like a 5e player that's more disappointed in this? I'm sort of disappointed that where are the Drow? The race that single-handedly started all this bullshit is not on this list. So where are they going to be in the book? Where are the humans? Where are the elves? Where are the dwarfs? Where are the gnomes? Where are the halflings? Where are the half-orcs? Where are the half-elves? Where are the dragonborn? Where are the tieflings? They should have been the very first race, or are they not deserving of the new changes? I don't know. Probably somebody's going to tell me, oh, they did those in a different book, like Tasha's or whatever. But then this should still have that. We don't have the list of the 280 monsters yet, but I'm sure that'll be out later today or tomorrow. If anybody's curious about that, we'll go over it. So I guess here's my review, since Tuesdays are supposed to be reviews. Every one of these you probably already have, or you can get online for free. The only differences are going to be stuff you should already know if you have Tasha's and have been following it, like the movement rate comes as a surprise. Sunlight sensitivity being gone doesn't come as a surprise because they want everybody to be like everybody else, and we already know about the stat block changes that you can put the +2s wherever you want. So if you want a 7'2" halfling with a +2 strength, you can do it, and the DM can't tell you no because it's written into the rules now. Unless, of course, the DM is actually running a logical world that makes sense. But I don't know, 5e players, you tell me. What do you think of this? Are you excited? Are you disappointed? Am I wasting my time even talking about it? What the hell is this that Mordenkainen is holding? How are you flying in space? This is still horrible art. I don't care what anybody says. It still looks like they just photoshopped Mordenkainen in front of whatever this space demon Belker Cthulhu thing is. And also, finally, don't worry, guys. You don't have to pay the $200 for the super deluxe gift set if you don't want to, because the single version of Mordenkainen is going to be out, I believe, on the 20th or 21st, if I remember correctly. And literally, you can go to wizardsofthecoast.com and check the release date. Yeah, so you don't have to worry. And yeah, Drow, not on the list. Weird. Okay, if you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. And if you never want to hear me talk about Wizards of the Coast ever again, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 1,000 subs, and we'll do something crazy. Till next time, don't let anybody tell you that you're a bad DM, because that person probably is a bad DM. Stay warm, stay dry, stay healthy, stay happy. Stay off my land. And why are you doing in outer space, Mordenkainen with a basketball? See you later.